And hello and welcome back to Thursday Live. I was going to say Monday Live, but it's not. It's Thursday. How is everyone doing? I am Steve Leahy. Thanks for dropping by. We don't have any show and tell for today. I do have a couple of things I could show you, but I kind of wanted to just get into this pedal. So that is, I just want to make sure that the mic on. So we're just going to jump into this guitar pedal. It's cool. It's the brand new pedal from Obie Audio. It's their first pedal as well. So that's a lot of fun too. And I'll kind of tell you how I got involved with them and all that fun stuff as we go. But yeah, that's what I got. So let's switch things around and we will get right to it. And I will say hello to everyone once I figure out what's going on there. All right, good. I have no idea what's going on. It's all good. It's all good. All right. Here we go. Are we live, though? That's, probably a good thing to find out, huh? Sure. We are live. I love technology. Technology is awesome. Okay. All right. After all that. So, perfect. All right, Brandon, what's up, buddy? All right, so this is the pedal. Actually, I'll change things around so you can see what's going on here, and I'll get you guys up to speed. So what this is basically, I don't want to touch it with my fingers, so I'll grab the gloves here just so we don't get it all greasy. So what this is it's an aluminum case. And this is for a guitar pedal, so an effects pedal. So this essentially would go on the ground. There are a bunch of switches and knobs that are on this, and you set them or change them as you go, and it just adjusts your sound. So this particular pedal is a overdrive. It's an overdrive, a boost, and if you're not a guitar player, that might not mean anything to you, but what that means is it just makes your guitar growl, and you can also adjust the quality of the sound with it really tightly. So what happened was I got it raw like this. And what I decided to do, whenever I get a pedal from Copper Sound, which is where I met Oliver, the guy who runs Obie Sound, whenever I get a pedal from him, I try to keep it roughly the same feel as what the original pedal is. So let me show you what that looks like. Kelly Drake, what's up, buddy? Jeff, what's happening? Jeff, your painting is on the way. I hope it gets there soon. International shipping can go either really well or really slowly. So we're hoping for really well for you. Okay, so here's what the pedal looks like normally. And it's kind of this gold metallic color, and then you see all the knobs and switches and all that fun stuff. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I'm not going to have any of the printing on this. This is more, well, this pedal will be functional. When I send it back, they'll put all the guts in and it'll be ready to go. It's going to be more of an artistic piece than an actual, pedal. Like I seriously doubt anyone's going to throw it on the floor and start using it. You will be able to, because I'll have it clear coated like with automotive paint, but yeah, normally I would bet almost everything that this is powder coated, the actual pedals. That's usually the way that these things go. And it's like a gold metallic. So what I want to do is I wanted to keep that gold vibe and then kind of go off of that. And of course, the name of the pedal is the Great Raven. So I thought that would be fun to kind of go with something like that. So what I did was for those who are on a nerd out as far as the actually, let me move this now because you don't actually need to see me watching comments as well. We'll move this up here, and that way I can zoom in a little bit, get some light on the subject. It's pretty much where we'll be hopefully when we start working. So this is how it came to me. It was a raw aluminum panel. Michael McClung, what's up? That's all right, buddy. That's cool. Thanks for coming by. It came as a raw aluminum pedal, which is what I asked for. And then what I did was I ended up sanding it because it comes in, I mean, it's fairly smooth, but it's got this kind of cast texture on it. So I sanded it real smooth with 600 grit paper. And then what I did was I sprayed it with, actually what I did first was I sprayed it with transparent Autoborn sealer, the 6000. Which is great stuff. It's like a primer, but it's clear. And when no, let me back up. That's not what I did. what I did was I sanded with 600 first, got it really smooth, and then what I do is I took a really rough sanding pad. I don't remember what it was. Probably like, 60-ish, 80-ish, right around there. And I just ground into it all these little swirls, which are tough to see right now because of the other steps that I took after. But I'll show you kind of what the effect is when I'm done. After that, then I hit it with the 6000 transparent base, and I put 4 coats of that, and I sanded between the last 2 coats with 1000 grit, so it was really, really smooth. And then once that was done, I grabbed Createx Candy 2.0, and I started with Tequila Yellow, and I sprayed the whole case with Tequila Yellow. And then what I did was I mixed a bunch of Grabber Orange in that Tequila Yellow to give me a real, like, kind of a, orangey yellow color. And then I just kind of faded around all the outside edges. So I left the yellow in the middle, but made it kind of like a burst. So after that was all done, then I hit it with the, I can't think straight here right now. There we go, 4040 bleed checker. And what that did was when I sprayed that whole thing with the bleed checker, that keeps all the candy in place. So when I paint on this, none of the yellow is going to kind of creep through and turn my white into yellow essentially. So that was all done. And then I put a few coats of that on, and then what I did is really lightly sand and then scuff it just to make sure there were no nibs on it that will show through. So the final effect, again, this is very dull right now because of all the other stuff on here, but once I clear coat this, I grabbed my 543 holder because it'll give you a good example of what it's going to look like. So with the automotive clear, check out, this is Grabber Orange up here, but it's going to be similar to that. And then down here on my 543 holder, I kind of faded it into blue, but you can see all those sanding swirls and everything. So that's kind of what's going to happen with this once it's all cleared. So that's the base. That's what I figured I'd do for the base. And then we're going to put this little guy right on top of it. So what am I doing? Oh, Michael, thanks, buddy. You're awesome. Oh, man, thank you, Michael. You're great. So Michael's got to take off. So let's make Kelly the moderator. So Kelly, you now have the power to do all kinds of fun stuff on the feed, and it's one of the perks of being a member here. You don't have to do anything. You just hang out. But as the channel grows and we get things going, I'm going to need moderators on the feeds as they get bigger and bigger and things happen. So what I'm going to get into the habit of doing is just what I did there and assigning one of the members as a moderator for the feed. Again, if you got to bail, that's totally cool. Don't worry about it. It's just a fun little bonus. So there we go. Dan, what's up, buddy? Thank you, Michael, again. Thank you. That's awesome. All right. So we're just going to jump right into it. So the photo that I'm using, I use a lot of different photo websites like Dreamstime and iStock and all that. Dreamstime I've been going to a lot lately. It just seems like they have the photos that I need, which is really cool. And if you're not familiar with these sites, they're really great. You basically, what I love about Dreamstime is you can actually buy just a few credits. You don't have to get a subscription to it. You can get a subscription to it if you use a lot of photographs. But Dreamstime allows you to just get 3 credits. And what those are is basically downloads. So you find the picture you like, you buy the credits, and then you can download the photo. And what's nice is then you have permission to use the photo with your work. And it's really cool. So this one is, this photograph is from Michael Ninja, who was a Czechoslovakian photographer. I was going to pull up his website, but I couldn't really find anything other than LinkedIn on him. He does a lot of wildlife photography from out there. Astral, what's up, buddy? And before I get too far, since we're talking about things, websites and stuff, if you do get a chance and you want to hear what this pedal can do, even if you're not a guitar player, it's still a cool place to go check out. They just started their YouTube page, so all the videos are going to be on there. So this is how to find them. It's Obie Audio, and they have a demo of this pedal on their page right now. But you can see they're pretty new, so they could use the subs and the love if you are a guitar player and are into that kind of thing. All right, so that's all we got going. Let's start painting. I've already pre-cut our little Raven here. And what I did with Michael's photograph is I went into Photoshop. I ended up twisting it around. This photo was actually two ravens fighting. There was one on the ground kind of rearing up and defending itself. But all I needed was this guy because he was in the perfect spot. So it was more like this. It was more straight across. I tilted it and then sized it correctly. And then I went ahead and printed them all out, cut them out. So that's what I got. So now you're caught up. I think you're caught up, I hope. And then I made this exactly the size of the petal. So it just kind of gives me, oh, actually, you know what else too? This, again, this case is aluminum, so the magnets don't work with this. Wait, what is this shenanigan thing? What does this do? Oh, I know what it's doing. I'm on crack. I'm like, wait, this is aluminum. How can this be? Well, there's a big fat magnet underneath it holding the thing up. So, all right, I'm going to stop now because I clearly can't be trusted. I've only had 2 cups of coffee today. I ran out of coffee, so I had to go get some more, and I just got back. So what I was trying to say earlier before I ended up going all stupid on you was that the aluminum obviously doesn't allow the magnets to work on it. Yes, Kelly is our aficionado itness today. So that way, if you're not being nice, Kelly can kick you off the feed with great haste. So what I'm going to do is to hold this little guy on here, and you've seen me do this before. I don't need to really make sure this is like completely crazy and held on. I just need to make sure that it's, kind of going to stay where I put it. So I'm going to grab a few little rolls of tape. Scary stuff. Kelly, I don't even know what it looks like when you're a moderator, so I can't even help you with what you can do or can't do. I know you can put people in timeout. I think you can do some other things. You get that cool wrench next to your name, so it's a lot of fun. There we go. All right. So got a little bit of tape on the back of this. That's just going to kind of hold it in place. I've gone with Photoshop. I've kind of adjusted where I want this guy, but I can make changes, especially now, and I'm just going to pull the rest of this off. Especially now that I've got this on here and I can kind of see where things are going to be. Like I kind of did it in Photoshop, but I wasn't quite sure, exactly where everything was going to be, but looks like I hit it pretty much on the mark. What I'm doing is I'm looking to avoid, not that it would happen in this instance, but if there was a hole for one of the knobs, right on his head, that wouldn't work really. So there's going to be, kind of spots where he's going to get cut out by the holes. But for the most part, I wanted the most of him on there, which is also one of the reasons I kind of tilted it. All right, so that's ready to go, and that's held on, so we're all set. 6'4", and you need bodyguards. That's awesome, Chris. Thank you. All right. Now, obviously I want some of the background to show because it's all cool and swirly and everything. However, the one thing I found with custom painting and putting especially realistic artwork on things like this, if I were to just paint the raven on here and nothing else, so just the raven and then the whole background thing, no matter what happens, it'll always look like a sticker. It'll always look like someone just kind of stuck something on there. So with that said, I always try to put some sort of background, a faded background in, because that's really difficult to do with a decal. Even like a water slide decal, you can still see the edge if it's a fade. So it fades out and then there's that edge, and that's true with a sticker too. So by doing the kind of fade, a little bit of fade around this, it's going to really make it, kind of seal the deal that it's paint and not, not some sort of application. So what we're going to do is I really like the way this kind of turned out, where when I tilted the horizon line is now tilted as well. So I really like that. I also like that it's bright behind the bottom of him and then it's kind of darker on the top. That gives it kind of a feeling of depth. So we're going to kind of continue that. I think I'm just going to use white. I'm going to kind of keep this monochromatic. And again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep the vibe of the original petal. And let me show you that one more time for those who didn't get the chance to see it. This is what the petal looks like. So obviously it's black and white. All the graphics are black and white. And then you have that neat gold metallic in the background. So by using just white and black on this, I keep the vibe of the pedal going, and it works with the whole Raven idea. There is some color in this when you look at the photograph, a lot of blues and things like that, but I'm going to leave those out. I really want this to feel like the pedal. All right, so let's start with white. I've been airbrushing a lot over the past week again, and so when that happens and my finger starts to get really tired, I end up grabbing the Grex trigger pads. I told the story before. I used to never use trigger pads or anything like that. They just always seem to get in the way for me. But when I find my fingers are really achy from constantly airbrushing, which I have been for this week, it just kind of takes some of the pressure off. It's really nice. So once you get used to it, I guess. All right, so we're going to start with some white. In this instance, I'm going to use 2-to-1 white, so it's 2 parts paint to 1 part 4011 reducer. And that just gives me a little bit more opacity than I usually use with the 1-to-1. So we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't look good, then I'll swap out, but it should work for me. I'm going to drop the horizon here too. The horizon is way up here on the photograph, but I'm going to drop it down to kind of split the pedal a little bit. And I don't want to go all the way to the edge, so I'm going to start with the horizon line to kind of set that in place. Just lean back and take a look at it. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm just going to kind of fade that in right around him. Nothing like a good rubber for added protection. Nice, Chris. Yes. Absolutely. A green one at that. So I met, I've known, oh, sorry, there we go. I've known Oliver for a long time. He's one of the primaries over at Copper Sound Pedals, which you've seen me do a lot for them before. And so I've known Oliver for a while. And so when he said he was working on this, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, let me add it. Which is also, how the whole thing happened. So I hope this really takes off for him. He's a smart kid, and I like him a lot. So, all right, same thing down the bottom. I want to basically glow around the whole Raven, but I want to make sure that I leave some of this, here. If it pushes way out, like if I have to really spray the outline or around it to make it work, that's fine, because the rest of the pedal has that same, the same treatment, I guess. It's like all the whole pedal is like this. So there's going to be plenty of places that people can look at this pedal and get that effect. I'd like some of it on the top, but if it doesn't really read as well, it's all over the thing. So Astral, is the trigger pad made of memory foam? Because that would feel great. I know, right? I was thinking about that. No, it's more that's like soft silicone rubberish type of thing. These are made by Grex, and if you want to try this out, you can order. What you get is this little trigger pad, but you also get the body grip part of it, which will work on most Iwatas. It fits on most Iwatas, both parts. But if you want to try it, like I said, I don't generally use them except when I'm starting to feel it, and yeah. So I was starting to feel it because I've been working all week on that Sgt. Pepper guitar, which I was going to show you, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to drag it out. And then today I've been working on all the 543s, so it's been nonstop, which is good. I like it. Franz, what is up, man? Good evening. Good evening. I'm going to cut some memory foam from a mattress. Just do it from your side, Astral, not from the wife's side, because you don't want that. All right. The other thing I'm kind of doing too now, just because it's kind of taking on a life of its own, even from the very beginning, is I'm kind of using this diagonal kind of fade stroke across this thing instead of just like outlining it like this. And that just gives a little bit more movement and fun. And again, there's not going to be anything else on here. It's just going to be the white. So might as well have some fun with it, you know? Is Tim on? Timothy John Luke Smith, what's up? Tim, I crashed in the middle of your feed and it had nothing to do with your feed. I'm watching the feed in bed and I just have my phone and the headphones on and I'm watching and all of a sudden I like wake up and it's over and I'm like, oh no. I shouldn't watch all, tucked into bed though. That's the thing. Because when I do that, but anyway, Tim, I will catch up. My usual Timothy John Luke Smith thing is if I miss the feed, I'll rewatch it on Friday because Friday's kind of a free painting day for me. So I'm not overly like running around and stuff like that. So I usually watch whatever I miss on Friday. But I don't know, Tim. I'm gonna go with irresponsibility more than working hard on that one. But thank you, Tim. It's come along great. Tim's working on a fantastic portrait of Eddie Murphy, and every time I see him working on it, I start quoting lines from Trading Places and Beverly Hills Cop, and it's pretty awesome. All right. So the next big decision here is the background, behind here. I don't want to just black this out because I want the raven to really be the darkest, most brilliant part of it, but I do want to kind of do something here. The question is what? I could put a little bit of transparent. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just kind of really make the black really transparent and then just kind of put, like little out of focus blobs around it. Again, because I really want the black of the raven to be something that like hit you in the face. Coming to America, also really good. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood is awesome too. Oh man, you could just go on and on and on with Eddie Murphy. He's just amazing. Oh my God, someone said Mr. Doolittle, right? That's in there too. Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're gonna do black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the biggest reduction for the black, which is 1 part paint to 20 parts reducer. And hey, Todd, what's up, buddy? There we go. And then that's what I'll use. Because again, I want this really transparent. I could add a little bit of 40-50 to it to really make it transparent, but I don't think I'm going to need it. I think this is going to work out fine. I could use candy black, except I don't want to because candy black has a lot of purple in it, and I don't want to mess with the kind of interaction that might have with all the orange and yellow. Instead, I'll just use the black, which I know really won't have that much of a impact on the candy. So I'm just going to start. This is, like I said, really, really thin, really transparent. So I got to just be careful not to flood this thing. And just kind of keep an eye on it. If it's not going to build up really fast enough, I can switch, but I'd rather be safe than sorry, essentially. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Yeah, I think this is a little bit too thin. Again, I was afraid that it was going to overpower it, so I'd rather be safe than sorry, but I also don't want, to spend 2 hours on the background when it doesn't need to happen. So switch to 1 to 10 or 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer, and that'll work a lot faster for me. And because I kind of started with this diagonal stroke pattern, I'm going to do the same thing with the black. Give a nice feeling of movement to the sky. Marge's dad was an amazing photographer, and he has this photograph of kind of a side view of a raven, kind of doing the same thing, but just more like you know, side view. So when I saw this photograph, it's exactly what I thought of. Marge did a pretty amazing pencil drawing from that photograph that is now at her mom's house. Love Eddie Murphy used to listen to his his triple X jokes on the public side. Nice. I know. I had the vinyl album from Raw, so his comedy tour, and he was doing he was like really at the peak, like right after Saturday Night Live, and he started doing movies. He went out and did the Raw tour, and I had the album, to the dismay of my parents. Now that's a fire. Oh, don't get me started. All right, so I think I'm going to leave it right there. I think that's going to be good. I don't want to go overboard. Again, I want the black of that raven to really pop forward, and I think that's going to work out. Yeah. Yarp. Okay. So the raven himself. Let's look at him. Do you choose this image due to the company? Chris, I did. The name of the petal is the Great Raven. So they kind of directed, just by default, they directed what this was going to be. But I went all on my own on this one. Again, for those who are just kind of coming in, this is what the petal looks like for real. Or if you buy it or if you get it new, that's what it looks like. So they've got this cool, like, you see the little raven logo down the bottom, as if it's kind of different glimpses of it in flight. So I wanted to kind of pick up on that. So I definitely wanted him in flight. I did look at a couple photos of just a raven, like a raven head calling, but I really want to take on that, the feeling of their logo too, which is that, or the, image that they use for this petal, which is that flying raven. So that's kind of why I came up with this one. All right. So now the raven itself. Now I don't want any of the cool, yellowish background to come through on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end up basing this. So I'll use the rest of the cutout from what I just used. Now, could I have done all the background, without, blocking off the raven? I definitely could have. But this way I'll have a nice even tone over the whole thing instead of a white part down here and a dark part up here. I told a bear and rabbit joke to my son when he was young and set him up. Yeah, no kidding. Oh my God. The whole honeymooners part of it is just insane. Which you can't, he could probably get away with it now, but still, you can't make jokes like that now. And he was, it wasn't too far off the mark with the title for the tour. It was Raw, so. All right, so the same deal here. I'm going to grab a bunch of tape. This is FBS tape. I really like it because it's super thin, but it's also really adhesive. I felt bad. Bill Snagan got a bunch of this tape, and I don't know if it's because he saw me using it, but I know a lot of people use it, so he probably saw someone else. But I didn't make it clear enough about this stuff. I love it, but for a specific reason. So, like I said, it does have a high amount of adhesive to it. It's very, very thin, but it tends not to pull up, the paint, which I thought was really, really kind of a neat thing to have it so grippy, but still, nice to paint. And Bill had been using Frisket, and it's not at all like Frisket. You can use it in place of Frisket, but you got to know what you're in for. Meaning, again, it's super thin, so you can't reuse it. If you spread it out on, like if I spread it out on this petal and then cut it out, first of all, it's super easy to cut this stuff out, which is nice. It's easier than cutting Frisket. However, once you're done with it, with Frisket, I could carefully peel up the Frisket, which is basically, if you don't know, it's a clear plastic, real thin plastic with adhesive on the back. You could peel the Frisket up and you could save it and reuse that piece because it's a little bit thicker. This stuff you can't. I mean, you'd have to do something else to be able to get this off and not ruin it because it's so thin. So I felt bad that, you know, I wasn't able to kind of get to him first to let him know, like, because all I do is tell people how cool it is. But, you know, I realized that I should have. Wait, what am I doing? You guys got to stop me from doing stupid stuff like this. I'm trying to paint this, so I'm putting tape all over it, and that's not what I want at all. I want tape on this. So if you're interested in FBS, it is, like I said, it is really great stuff, but you got to know. I would suggest, you know, getting a small roll of it, especially the really small roll. This is great. What I use it for in 543s is to block off the border, you know, keep the border clean. So, you know, use it a little bit and see what it does for you, and then you can go nuts. Like I do use it everywhere. I have wider rolls of it and that kind of stuff, but it is, like I said, it's different than Frisket. If you're replacing Frisket, it's takes a little bit of getting used to for sure. So there we go. Tack that on there. All right. So the overall Raven is obviously black. There's some other colors in here. So I think I'm going to treat it like a 543. I think I'm going to base this whole thing in gray, kind of a neutral, so that I can move both black, you know, lighter and darker with it. If I just base it in white, then I'll have to, you know, go the whole way to dark and then put in the grays. But if I start with gray, then, you know, I'm in the middle. So, Chris, I always need more coffee. I am on autopilot. I'm busy talking and not paying attention. So for the gray, I don't want to use, I could use the base coat sealer gray. However, I don't want that big of a buildup on here. The base coat sealer is really thick. Cover's awesome, but it will leave like a paint edge around this, and I really don't want that. So I'm gonna use white to do this, a white and, you know, opaque white and black. So I'm gonna grab some white, and this is the same 2-to-1, so it's a little bit thicker. And I'm gonna add a little bit of opaque black to that. Try 1 drop to start. I want kind of a middle gray. Yeah, exactly, Chris. That's it. Yeah, it's super thin. Chris, I'm sure you've bounced it off of Scott McKay, but you could always, you know, ask him because he uses the FBS in his plotter all the time. All right, let's see. How's that look? That looks pretty good right there. Not too dark, not too light. Just kind of right into. Yeah, it's super thin. I don't know how to describe it to people. Like it's not quite tissue paper thin, but it's also, you know, I don't know. It's hard to describe. It is like a papery substance, like a papery feel, like a crepe type paper, but it is really, really thin. All right, so for this stuff, since I got the gray going, I want to really work with the edges here. I want to take my time. I want this to look like it's adhesive. I don't want to do this with adhesive. I could have. Probably the safer way to do this would have been to spray, you know, like mask the Raven off first, spray gray, and then, you know, cover the gray and then do the background. But as long as I'm careful this way, it'll work well. So I'm just going to kind of work with the edges first, and then just kind of, you know, move with the edges to kind of get that edge set, and then I can fill in the inside. The other great thing about this whole kind of this method here, if there's a problem anywhere around this thing, like if I have a little bit of overspray or underspray or it doesn't line up or whatever, don't forget it's white and black underneath this. It's going to be really easy to fix. So as long as I take it slow and keep, you know, the layers really light and dry, we'll be fine. So the other way to do it, and I thought hard about how I wanted the kind of the vibe to look, and the other way to would have been to just don't use any white at all. So I just use just transparent black, and then let the petal be the lightest parts. But I didn't think it would pop enough. Plus, like I said, the petal itself has that real black and white vibe to it. So if I just had black on this, I'd be missing the white, obviously. So that's kind of where the decision making led me. So the other nice thing too that just happened, I just found out today that the glass that I ordered with Source Gallery down in Lisbon, the gallery that shows my work here, they also do framing. So I ordered a sheet of museum glass. And while super expensive, I needed a bigger sheet because I got some bigger pieces that I want to finish framing. So that's in. So I get to go down and pick that up. So next week's show and tell will be fun. I'll have a lot of stuff framed, including my Gerald Mendez painting, which I'll be able to show you. I've had that framed for a while without glass, and because it's bigger, you know, so I finally have a piece of glass for it, which I'm really excited about. Because once the glass is in, then I can hang up the painting from Gerald. So you can see as I kind of get the edge in, once the edge is in, then I can move to the middle. One thing I don't want to do is just like spray the middle first, or, you know, really hammer the middle, because what happens is all that underspray will go out, you know, and get underneath everything. So if I kind of do the edge first, then all I have to do is a small area in the middle, and then I'm all set. So it's kind of a self-preservation thing, you know. See, the other thing I try to do when I'm working on the middle is wherever the airbrush is pointed at, that's where my fingers are holding down. And over this side, it doesn't really matter because the air is holding it down and I'm coming across it this way, kind of going with it. But over here, the air is trying to push this template out. So by keeping my fingers on here, I keep that from getting underneath there. Lovely. All right, let's do the top of the wings here. Where's the stick? Love it. All right, so the primary feathers have these real, like, thin, you know, little points here. I want to make sure that they stay down. So I'm going to kind of deal with one, like, grouping of primary feathers at a time. Good. I was going to do all this beforehand, but this kind of stuff right here, this, you know, this to get this to work without adhesives and everything, I thought would be a cool thing to show. Tone, what's up, man? How's it going? You and Tim are in earthquake land. I love it. I don't love it, actually, but... So they felt it in my hometown, which is in Massachusetts, which is about 3.5 hours from New York City. And so, yeah, the earthquake was interesting. It's crazy. Have you ever used obscure glass? I can't remember if that was the term for it. I used it for a picture of tornado aircraft about 30 years. It cuts down reflection so you can see the picture better. Yeah, Astro, let me grab a piece. That's all I use, but it's worth showing you because this stuff is awesome. Hold on. So if you're not into framing, which is totally cool, I wasn't for a long time. I didn't want everything to do with it. But then I just kind of gradually got into it, mostly because my stuff is so weird. You know, the really super small stuff, I just had to figure out how it all works. So one of the things about framing is the type of glass that you choose. So there are different levels of glass, essentially, or different that do different things. So a standard sheet of glass will just be glass. You know, if you buy a frame from Michael's or, you know, Hobby Lobby or whatever, it's just going to be like a sheet of glass. You can get the same thing at Home Depot, essentially. Once you get into framing glass, there's some different things that happen with them. You can buy reflection control glass, which actually, if I hold the reflection control glass away from like the image here, it'll actually look foggy. It looks really good when it's framed close. It allows you to see right through it, and then it kind of removes that reflection. So then there's also UV glass, which will block, you know, UV light from getting through. And then the ultimate high-end glass is this stuff here. It's museum glass. And what museum glass is, it has the same, if I tilt it, you can kind of see that greenish reflection from the light above. What it does is it has the same coating that eyeglasses have on them. And that basically removes the reflection without removing the clarity. So at any distance, this, you know, you can see through it and it still removes the reflection. So the downside is this stuff is really expensive. But, you know, it's worth it. If you have, especially for me, since I have really small pieces and people are right on top of them, I really want that non-reflective type of surface, or that, you know, that type of glass. So this is what that stuff is. And obviously you can see reflections in super strong light, like the studio lights here. But in normal, like in a room, this glass you can't even see. In fact, the sucky part is people go and touch it all the time, and it's a pain in the butt to clean because, you know, it is. But so that's museum glass, and I got a whole sheet of this stuff. Usually I get small pieces for my stuff, but like I said, I needed a bigger piece, and there it is. So, oh, you didn't even feel it? That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching some of the videos. And it's wild. I've only felt one earthquake in Massachusetts when I was there, and it was the weirdest feeling. I know all the Californians are laughing at us, you know, because they live with it every day. But when you don't experience it, and then you experience it, it's very unnerving. I thought the house was haunted. I was working in a studio, which was in the basement again, and I felt like someone was just rocking my chair. Like, it really felt weird. So I was like all freaked out. And then I found out what it was. So, all right, back to it. It's like me here with tornadoes. So tornadoes are a thing in the Midwest, and you know, the people are prepared. And like I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like everyone's saying, oh yeah, you know, make sure you get to the basement. I'm like, come on, man, because I'm used to living in New England where there are, I mean, every once in a while there's like a F-1 tornado in, you know, out west in Massachusetts, but it's nothing really crazy. But around here, obviously, they take it seriously. Meanwhile, you know, try to explain to them what a hurricane is like, because we get them, you know, in New England all along the coast. And that's a whole, you know, like, we get that, but, you know, out here in the Midwest, they don't get hurricanes. All right, so now the big reveal. Did I get it done? I don't know. Cody Adams, what is up, sir? All right, let's see what we got. Remember, this is, you know, just taped down, not adhesive or anything. So if we did this okay, it's going to be really super clean. Now, I also noticed something too that I didn't mention. when the paint is really thin, like in the background here, like this black fade is like super crazy reduced, and I put it on really, really lightly. So when I go to put a template on here with tape, what I want to try to do is I really want to try to avoid those areas, you know, because I don't, even though this tape is pretty friendly with paint, I don't even want to take the chance. 4.6 Poltergeist. That's what it felt like, Astral. It was really weird. Like I had, if you've been watching my feeds for a while, you know I have an old drafting chair that we called a squeaky chair. And that's what I was sitting on, and it was weird. It was like someone was just rocking the chair back and forth. I thought it was one of my kids at first, and then I turn around, there's no one there, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? All right, so that worked out swimmingly. I don't have to clean anything up. But that's, you know, just to kind of show you that you can get by without having to put adhesive masks on everything. If you're careful and you take your time, which I'm sometimes not good at. Earthquakes are not that bad. Feel like a fat person out of bed. That's awesome, Todd. Yeah, that's true, Todd. You are in earthquake land. So, yeah, and you know what it boils down to is, you know, wherever you live on this little blue marble, I mean, everyone has different stuff, and different stuff can be severe no matter where you go. So, all right, I'm super happy. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of follow the 543 plan, which is I'll put the light colors in first and then the darkest colors, and then I can start working on the details and then use a little bit of airbrushing, and it'll be done. I'm going to work for a little while on this. I don't know how long I'll keep you guys, but you know, I'll just keep working. I didn't plan on finishing this today. Just wanted to kind of get it started. One quick thing I'm going to do first, though, to make sure that this stays like this and I don't really have a problem, is I'm going to hit this with a little bit of Otterborn. Yeah, I'll use Otterborn sealer. So I'm going to grab the Otterborn sealer, which is I have pre-reduced already because I use it a bunch of times. As soon as I can find it, there it is. So that's the transparent sealer. This has got 20% reducer in it already. So I'm just going to clean out this brush here, the gray brush, so I can use this one to get it done. Blizzards too. You know, around here in Northeast Ohio, I was surprised that there's really not that much snowfall. We're just south of Lake Erie. We're about an hour and 20 minutes south of Lake Erie. But that's far enough south that we don't get any of the lake effect snow. And the way the jet stream works, it just doesn't really snow that much here, which is great for me because I'm tired of it and I don't want any more snow. But when I try to explain to people around here what it's like being dumped on like every week, like it was, when was that, 2018 or 19 or whatever that was, when it snowed every weekend in the Northeast, and we just ran out of places to put the snow. I mean, that's, you know, that's hard for you to wrap your head around if you're not used to it. I have, since I moved here almost 4 years ago, I've used a snowblower for real once, and I love that. Marge keeps saying we should sell the snowblower, and I keep telling her that I'm going with it wherever it goes. So, to me, it's the best insurance. It's the best, you know, no snow insurance I can get. All right, so you can spray Otterborn sealer or any of the UVLSs with an airbrush, but you just have to know that that's not how it's intended to be used. This sealer is intended to be sprayed through a spray gun at about 10 to 15% reducer, and you're supposed to develop a really nice film of it. I don't need the base coat film of it. I just need to protect this really soft, you know, spray that I've got on here. So that's not going to take very much of this stuff. So I can use an airbrush. What I need to do, though, to get it to work through an airbrush is over-reduce it. And that's, like I said, that's a 20%. Now, that's certainly not over-reduced like I over-reduce the other stuff, but just enough to get it to go through the brush. Now I'm just going to kind of stay back pretty far. Probably about 6 to 8 inches, and I'm just going to really lightly kind of go over the whole thing. That's the first coat. I really should be wearing a respirator, and I really should be doing this in the spray booth, but you wouldn't see it. So that's why we're doing it here. And I'm sacrificing my lung health for you. I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see it better. There we go. So I'm going to let that dry for a second. You usually, on average, you let the Autoborne sealer and the UVLS and everything, they needs about 10 or 15 minutes to really evaporate, really dehydrate and cure. Not cure so much. It's about 24 hours for it to cure. But for this application, so we're just protecting it, a few minutes really works well. I just can't like tape right on it. You know what I mean? By tomorrow, if I spray this a few times with the sealer, I could tape all over this and that paint will never come off. So it's just giving it time to really set up and cure. Snowblower, big boy toy. Yeah, I love the snowblower we have. Marge got it before I got here, and it's nice. It's got heated grips. It's obviously self-powered. It's just beautiful. It's a great thing. I've had to take it out once, but I've taken it out a couple other times just to take it out. So, I do love the snowblower. Okay. One more coat, and I think we're good for what we need to do here. What do you use Createx transparent base for? It comes in the color kits. Oh, yeah. So transparent base is, think about a transparent base like this. So here's a bottle of paint, right? And it's got the color, and it's got, the medium in it to make it spray and work real well. So the transparent base, just think about it as a bottle of paint without the color. So it's strong. It's relatively strong. It's got a nice viscosity for airbrushing, that kind of thing, and it will protect as well. The difference between this and where is it? Or is it so I can show you? I might have moved it over the other side. Well, I'll show you this bottle anyway. This one and I don't know, this one. So the difference between this guy, the base that's in here, and the UVLS and the Autoborne sealer is these two guys are a lot stronger, more aggressive, they stick harder, that kind of thing. So if you're looking for protection, like the ultimate protection in the line, this is the order it goes in basically. So it's the base, the transparent base, then the UVLS, and then the sealer. Those are the aggression of the stickingness of them. So what's nice about the whole lot of them is they each do different things. Like if you're looking to kind of make your paint more transparent, but really want to keep that sprayability, the transparent base is great for that. You're not looking for a ton of strength. I mean, certainly it does have strength, but you're not looking for, that's not what you're looking for it to do. You're looking to make it more transparent and smooth it out a little bit. The transparent base is great for that. You can use the gloss for that as well, which is what I do. Just to kind of simplify my life. This is what I use mostly for making things more transparent. And you can use the Autoborne sealer to make it more transparent as well. But again, the sealer is really thick and designed to give you the best sticking ability and strongest film. You don't necessarily need all that when you're just trying to make it more transparent. So that's kind of the way you can think about it. And the same thing, 40-30 would fit right in here. The 40-30, the balancing clear is awesome. And but again, to make my life simple, I've kind of reduced it right down to the UVLS gloss, unless I'm doing base coating and things like that, and then I'd use a sealer. But that's the deal of the transparent transparent base. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to give myself one more shot of this. Does a transparent base help with bonding if you overreduce? It does a little bit, Astral, but again, if that's what you're looking for, I would go with the 40-50 or even the transparent base. If you're really like over-reducing, essentially over-reducing the transparent base is like over-reducing the paint. You reduce all that ability to stick. So by adding the stronger 40-50 or even stronger base coat Autoborne sealer, you'll restore that ability to stick. So as big as he is, Todd, he just blows over the spray. Nice. All right, one more coat of this stuff. Beauties. So that's good. Now I got to let that dry before I touch it. So. Yeah, I haven't used transparent base or 40/30 in a while. Actually, I'll tell you what, I haven't used either since the 40/50 came out. And again, if you have it, definitely use it. Like 40/30, if I was in a pinch, not even in a pinch. I mean, 40/30 works great. The balance and clear. And if I didn't have either the 40/50 or the Autoborn sealer clear, the transparent Autoborn sealer, I would definitely use transparent base. If I wanted to do something like this here, just to kind of keep it safe, it'll definitely do that. What I would suggest doing is try to find a brush really big enough that you can spray the sealer or the transparent base as unreduced as possible. Because you're trying to build up a film to protect it. So if you over reduce that, like we just talked about, if you take the base and put 1-to-1 base to reducer, it's not really going to stick any more than the reduced paint. All right, that's drying up. So I can start, while that's drying, this works out well, I'm going to start cutting the next template. So we're going to put this aside for a second, but with the sealer on it, it starts to get that gloss back, so you get the kind of the feel for what the background is going to do on this, which is fun. So we'll put this aside for now, let that cure, and we'll get to the next part. And Kelly discovered Tim's channel, be spending far too much time on YouTube now. Kelly, welcome to my world. Oh my gosh, yeah, I knew about Rob's channel, Dread Effects. However, I just started really watching all his older videos, and that's been a black hole. Yeah, there's so many good ones. The Art Workshop is another good one that I've been watching a lot of. Yeah, just on and on. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, Tim has a ton of content too, so strap in because you'll be there a while. All right, let's get the next one cut out while that's curing. Yeah, maybe we'll get this based in, see how you guys feel, and maybe I'll do a little bit of detail with you so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but we'll see. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out any area that's really light. And I could be real general with this, so see how this, the back of his feathers on his... Can I get you guys closer? Come on, focus for me. I tried the autofocus today. I'm hoping it's going to play nice. But see how this is obviously lit from the top, and then it fades to the front? I'm just going to take the whole section, This is just going to kind of help me set the light areas in. So grab that out of here. What else do I want? I want his beak. Tip of his beak, I think. I'll do the whole end of his beak here. Mr. Scott, what is up, sir? My gaming buddy. Scott got me back into playing Fallout on Xbox, which is bad. So I went through a bunch of health stuff in 2017. I had some stomach issues that sidelined me pretty hard. So I ended up playing a lot of Xbox in 2017. And one of the things I played a lot of was Fallout 4, if you're familiar. And so Scott was telling me about one of the other Fallout games, so I ended up getting it, and I can feel I can feel being sick again, sitting on the couch. Not in a bad way, but it's the last time I played Xbox a lot, and there it is. So, all right, here we go. Maston, what's up? I bought some 40/30, and it turned into a glue stick. Yes. As far as I've seen, 40/30 is one of the few Createx products that does have some sort of shelf life. And I've seen it. I've heard from people who have said sometimes that it has come in really wonky, like they've gotten it really wonky, which means if it sits around on, a shelf somewhere, it can kind of gel up. Now the good news is Createx is amazing. If you get a bottle like that and it wasn't frozen in transit, or maybe even they will take care of it if it's frozen in transit. But I've seen them take care of stuff all the time. So I would, if you have a weird bottle, I would definitely get a hold of them. All right, so these areas too in his wings, I just need to set them up a little bit. I don't want to dump a bunch of white on this, but I do want this brighter than the gray. So I'm just going to kind of cut out again, the general area. This isn't all about details here. This is just about kind of getting the lighter areas in. Now I am being fairly careful here. I don't want, I don't want this entire thing to be like crazy and white, but I also know that I'm going to be painting back into this, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And this is nice because even though I'm using these really intricate templates for all this, it gives me a lot of freedom in how I actually paint it in. Again, these cutouts act just as a guide, tells me where to put stuff. All right. Anything else? These primaries up here all have a lot of brightness to them, but it's more of a detail bright. It's these lines and stuff, so I'm going to leave that with that. And I am going to use the other template, the one I used for the gray, to kind of get the primary stuff. Or do I want to do that? They're kind of split off. Yeah, I do. I do want to do that. Okay. So just check real quick to see if there's anything else here. Again, these on his shoulder here, those are really paintbrush type details. So I don't have to do those. I'm really just looking for the larger areas of white. Transparent base too. Wow, it's crazy. Again, it's some of the things do have a shelf life for them. But again, if you opened it and you just got it, I would get a hold of Createx on that one. All right, let's put this back here. You guys got enough light, I think, I hope. This is all ready. So this is, again, if I give this till tomorrow, I can aggressively tape on this. I could even use the 3M yellow masking on this. I wouldn't suggest it, but that transparent Autoborne sealer is extremely aggressive and extremely strong, which is, again, why I use it in situations like that where I really want to protect things. Obviously, you don't want to build it up too much. You don't want to put it on after every layer, because then you'll have this giant thickness of paint. You don't want that. But, if there's a sensitive area that you want to protect, it's a great way to kind of put it in. And it's 100% transparent. So, if you're working on a bigger area, you don't have to cover the entire thing with it. It's not like you'll see it. You just have to cover what you want to protect. I have some golden paints. It's now a sculpture. That's awesome. I'm trying to think. This isn't a real good example because this bottle is absolutely ancient. Where did it go? Not red violet. Where is it? It's my straight up violet. Come on now. Is that it? No. Oh, Detail Violet. This bottle of Detail Violet right here, this is an old bottle, okay? The logos are all different now. I've had this forever. So people ask all the time, how long will paint last? So I can't pour this out. There's paint in here, but it's like almost solid. It's not quite solid. I could stick a paintbrush in there and get some out. But, things do have a shelf life. Not that this is what you guys are talking about. This is clearly because this bottle, it's got to be like, 10 years old or something. Crazy like that. All right. Let's put the light stuff in, and then we can put the dark stuff in, and we'll be in good shape. Again, I keep doing it. I'm assuming I'm going to use a magnet, but I don't have a magnet. Ah, boy. So same thing here, like I have the spray on this, but again, this isn't 100%, not by any stretch, 100% cured. So I don't want to go nuts with, tape on this. So I'm just going to put one loop of tape on it just to kind of keep it where it's supposed to be, and then I'll use my fingers to hold this down again. In this instance, it's not that bad because I only have a few areas. It's not like, the whole Raven when I was trying to spray the whole thing in. This is just in a few areas. Oil paint is still good from the 40s. Yeah. And Tim, isn't it true that even on a painting, oil paints never fully cure? They're always like open? At least that's what I heard. I could be wrong. I was telling Tim last night that I had slowly started to reacquire all my oil paints. I used to oil paint in school, in college, but then I got away from it when I found the airbrush. And so now I'm starting to re-up all my oils because I'm going to start using them again, I think. Because I have a feeling, you're always thinking about the future, especially when you have past the half-century mark. So I kind of trying to think of like, why? What am I going to do? I know I'll paint till I'm dead. I know that. But I might not be able to airbrush till, forever. So how am I going to keep doing art? And I think getting back into oil painting would be lovely because I can move that around. I don't have to have the setup and the studio and the compressor and all that stuff. I can literally do that anywhere. So I figured I'd start thinking about that. And nothing gives me the look of what I do now other than oil paint that I can tell. And I say that, but it's not true because I've seen, Tim can attest, there are pastel painters that do photorealism like crazy. Same thing with watercolorists, same thing with colored pencil artists. But oil painting on the whole, to me, always resonates. I just love the way it looks. And I feel like that's the direction I'd be going. Nice, Astral. Nice. Yes, airbrush is the gateway drug to oils. And in fact, oils was the gateway drug for me for airbrush. I saw this great airbrush illustration art, and a lot of the artists that I was following were borderline oil painters that had swapped to commercial illustration. And yeah, so all right, I have the white still in the brush, so I'm going to use that. Again, this isn't just nail the whole thing. It's just kind of getting stuff in where it's supposed to be. Actually, let's blast this out a little bit because I'm sitting around. I love all the AI stuff, like the images of the real Mona Lisa that they're saying they found photographs of the actual Mona Lisa, the woman from the model. And I'm like, okay, you realize that cameras weren't a thing then, but that's cool. But that goes with my all the photos from the 1850s, the frontier people with the aliens that have been popping up. I love that. I think what I want to do for the Monday night is start having some theme nights. Like you can make your suggestions, but they have to be within a certain theme. I think that'll be fun, and one of them will definitely be conspiracy theories because it'll be fun to see what people come up with, and then it'll be even more fun to paint them. All right, that's good. So for this other one, it's just basically the trailing edge of these secondary feathers. And again, keeping it really kind of loose. And remember the head part of it, it's the top part that's lit and then it fades to the front. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing here. His tail is almost all in the light, which is nice, but that doesn't look completely lined up. Oh, it is. Okay. I just didn't have that part of it cut out before. Same thing with his beak. The beak is really the tip of his beak, and then it fades up to the rest of near his nose. Some oil paint colors can get pricey because of the pigments such as cobalt and cadmium. Yeah, absolutely. And that was true when I was using gouache too. There were some genuine colors in there that were like, I couldn't wait to be able to afford to buy them. And then when I did, they did not let me down. Like getting a genuine color like that, cobalt or cadmium or, some of the other ones, it's just the colors are so like vibrant and thick and beautiful, but they'll kill you. So yes, exactly, Astral. Which is how, that was my first, like I grew up with watching my uncle watercolor. You know, he was a watercolorist. So I grew up with that, but I didn't, and there were genuine colors with watercolor as well. But I didn't know any of that really watching him do his thing. And even when I started watercoloring, I was only using, using watercolor. I was using student grade stuff, which there are no genuine colors in student grade paints. So it wasn't until I started airbrushing and I started using gouache, which there are genuine colors in there. And that's when all the, I became aware of the health part of it, really. Because you can really mess yourself up if you're spraying cobalt, like cobalt blue, genuine gouache through an airbrush and you're breathing that all the time. You're going to have problems, I mean, you're going to have problems if you're spraying acrylic paint all the time, but those hazardous colors can really, really, really mess you up. So, yes, Leonardo did invent everything. Tim, I so want to though. When those water soluble oils came out, I'm like, I want to airbrush through them. So I sent Winsor Newton a message, and they were kind enough to get back to me, and they're like, yeah, you don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, fine. All right, so that's it. That's the light parts. And see what I mean? It's like, it doesn't look like anything yet. It's really just the foundation for those light areas. It's not no detail, no feathers, no, whatever. It's just there to kind of put a place marker for the light areas. So let's do that with the dark. And then what I'll do is I think maybe I'll work on just his head with you guys, the details, just so you kind of see how it's going to come together. But what I'm going to do in one area, I'll end up doing over the whole thing. It's just going to take me a few hours to get the whole Raven done. And I know, you probably don't want to hang out for all that. Yeah, exactly, Tim. Exactly. So, and it's right. It's not only that. It's the not necessarily the linseed oil, but the the mineral spirits and all that. If you're flushing that through an airbrush, I mean, you would need a full-on automotive spray booth. And even then, you're still not safe. So yeah, stick to the liquid plastic and, keep the air moving, and you'll be a lot better off in the long run. All right, so let's move this aside again. I'm going to cut out the dark areas. What I'm going to do, instead of cutting out all the dark areas with you guys right now, I'm going to work on his head. And I'm pointing to something that isn't there. So that's good. Maybe I've been ingesting cobalt. God. There it is. Yeah, we're going to work on just this area right here. I'll kind of get this pretty much to completion with you guys. And then just picture this everywhere. And that way, we can get something stick with this whole thing. I got the pedal this week. And I talked to Brendan. And honestly, I didn't think I'd even be able to get this started for a while because there's a spray gunner project that I need to get going on as well. But all that's waiting on the guitar, and I'm like, you know what? This project would be perfect to start, on the live stream today. Whether I get it done or not is a different thing. So it just seemed like the right thing to do. Audrey Flack actually sprayed oil paints back in the day. Maston, here's the cool thing about Audrey Flack, and this blew me away in like a total fanboy thing. So for those who don't know, Audrey Flack is one of the like really photorealism got its name in the 70s, and it was largely in part to Louis Mizell, who kind of coined the phrase and then really kind of put together the Marvel Avengers of photorealism in New York. And Audrey Flack is one of those artists. So before I entered the show at the Butler, I didn't realize it, but Audrey Flack is the juror for that show. So for me to have work in front of Audrey Flack, even if I don't get in, it blows me away. So that's my Audrey Flack story. If she is there and I do get to meet her, I'm going to be just a bumbling idiot. So should be fun. Yeah, oil painting and airbrushing there are people that definitely do it, and you can if you understand what you're getting into, but it is it's got issues if you're not careful, for sure. Plus, here's the other thing too. oil paints are oil-based and they're flammable, right? So if mineral spirits is flammable, if you are spraying that even into a receptacle, you have a lot of airborne solvents and airborne stuff that's flammable. So even if you take all the safety, like health, breathing in and ingesting aside, you have a chance of like blowing up your studio or your house. So, there's lots of reasons not to airbrush with, oil paints. See, I mean, that goes true with, automotive paints too. You don't want to airbrush automotive paints in your house, like in your living room or your bedroom. First of all, you'll hear the chorus of complaints from everyone you live with, because you'll quickly go nose blind to it, but they won't. And yeah, it smells great. Solvents smell great. Yeah, Chris, 100% fanboy. I would trip over my words. She's pretty amazing. That would be like, me meeting, Charles Bell, or, if there was a chance to meet Chuck Close, or, any of those artists. They really were the foundation of that photorealistic movement. Just awesome. Just awesome. I mean, you look at Audrey Flack's artistic resume and the museums that she has work in, and it's, you wouldn't have to even be into photorealism to be like just blown away. So anyway, that's my Audrey Flack story. Don Eddy is another one. Yes, exactly. I would be like a bumbling idiot if I ever got a chance to meet, any of those people on that level. So I was talking to Marge about that, and I think I might have mentioned this on one of the feeds, but that sets up a whole different thing. Usually when you enter a show, you're just like, you're at the mercy of whether the juror is gonna like your stuff, right? If the juror is a abstract artist, they might not like photorealism, but if they're fair, they're going to give everything a shot. But still, like an abstract artist might not understand what goes into making a realistic, like a super realistic painting. So you kind of get a little bit of a pass there. But Audrey Flack knows really, really well, like, what I do. You know what I mean? She is as expert as you can get. So if having her look at my stuff she'll be able to rip it apart effortlessly. So that's fun. So yeah, it added a whole level of, extra nervousness to getting in an already, crazy show. All right. So that's it. So what I would normally do with this template is I would continue to cut out all the darkest, like all these really super dark black areas. I cut all those out, and I'm not going to do that now because like I said, we're just going to worry about this little guy's head right now. Yeah, exactly. But you would never guess by the picture, Astral. But like she looks like she's in her like 60s, Yeah. So now I was fortunate to get into the mid-year last year, and that I know of, the judge wasn't there, and. So I don't know that if Audrey is going to be at the show at all. However, she does have at least one piece, but maybe more that are owned by the Butler. In fact, the Butler, their very first photorealistic piece was one of Audrey's pieces. So that kind of opened the door for the other artists, photorealistic artists that are in there. Geiger sprays a lot of oils. Exactly. Right, Scott. Right. Yeah, and Scott, I mean, there you go. Scott does all kinds of automotive work, and, he's preaching that all the time in his classes about people getting into automotive painting and why spraying automotive paint in your living room is not necessarily the best idea in the world. Single action, that really is, she can dress more. Yeah, exactly. If she's using single action airbrush, yeah. It's like Giger using his thumb, to airbrush with, airbrushing like this, which is the rumor. So yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's lock this guy down. So we're gonna, again, a little bit of tape on this. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, though, even though double action airbrushes have been out for a long time, single actions were much more popular in the 70s. So, even like my buddy Keith Hansen was painting all his using a single action for all of his airbrushing in the beginning. So it just they were inexpensive. They were workhorses. They were readily available. Pache was owning the market at the time. Pache and Badger, and that's what people were using. So Sasquatch sightings. Yes, it is true. All right, what do I got for black in here? I have the really thin black, don't I? Well, we'll see what we got. Same thing here. This is just kind of a setup thing. Oh, hey, what could go wrong? There we go. We'll dry all that. I was just adding texture there. That's all that was. Same thing, just really light layers, let it build up, even though I'm going for like a really almost opaque black here. There's no rush, there's just the more layers I can put on, the thinner and smoother it'll be in the end. I'm almost out of this black anyway. Let me put a little bit thicker black in so we can cover the area a little bit faster. Yep, it happens. And that's because I was demonstrating the Giger thing, and by doing that without any air, I loaded the end of the airbrush with a bunch of wet paint and didn't even think about it. God, nice. All right, so there's the black there. I'm going to save this. I save all the templates, but I'm going to save this one because, well, I'll be able to cut a bunch of stuff out of it. But there you go. That's what we got so far. So I'm going to zoom you guys in on that spot because that's what we're working on. But picture that, like I said, picture what we're going to do here just about everywhere. I should have put the jumbo lens in, but oh well. I'm going to have to get a little bit more light on the subject too. Oh, sorry about that. It's my crappy Amazon HDMI cable. There we go. That's better. And that's focused. Yes, good. All right, now the fun part. So the fun part, do I have this set up? Do I have this set up? I do. Just going to move it. And then Scott's here. So Scott and everyone else too, but Scott because he uses the Visionaire too, and anyone else uses the Visionaire setup. So I've been talking about reworking the studio a lot and getting a dedicated area just for live feeds. It's soundproofed and all mic'd up and everything. And I have this, I have the 4-foot wide Visionaire setup, but I think what I'm going to do is when I go to move all this, I'm going to go with a little bit wider Visionaire setup and change a bunch of things around. So I will keep you up on what I'm going to be doing with that, but I'm super excited about all that too. It's going to be good. All right, so we'll start with black. Why not? So it's again, now what's fun is I have the kind of the basics Raven's Head, and I have all the major points of darkness here. So now I can start adding in all the different things. But what I'm going to do first, instead of the black, I'm actually going to start out with the white because I want to, for the same reason, it just uses the paintbrush instead of the airbrush. But anywhere where there were like some light feathers, I want to get those in first so that when I cut in around it with the black, I can just, do that and then call it done. And this way it also, I don't know, it seems like the black looks more natural when it's the last thing in as opposed to the white, except when you're dealing with like a final highlight, that kind of thing. like, well, actually what I'm doing right now, like around the edge of his mouth is it's bright, so that would be good to do last. But all these feathers and stuff, the edges of the feathers, I'm going to drop them in now so that when I go to put the black in, it'll just kind of all blend together. And up here too, so remember how this faded towards the front of his head? So I'm going to start putting in some of the individual feathers to break that up now. So when I go to put the black in, again, you won't even see that. How do you like the square triggers on your airbrushes? Mastin, I don't. I wish I got to replace them. So Mastin's talking about the Eclipse trigger. I'm sorry, the Micron triggers, which are square. It's a good idea in theory, but for me, I come at the trigger at an angle like this, and that corner digs into my finger. So I really like the round triggers better. And I know you can swap them out. I just, I haven't done that yet. So, yeah, so not a fan of the square triggers. All right, so now back to black. You can sing all your AC/DC if you want. So now see what I mean? When I get the black, I can start like going back in against the white with like really thin strokes, and that will kind of break up the thicker white, because the white is thick. Like if you really reduce the whites to get it to paintbrush really nicely or airbrush really nicely, it becomes extremely transparent. And that's good and it's not good. If you really want it to cover, like I needed those highlights to kind of pop, you got to keep it thick, and then it doesn't spray or paintbrush very well. However, with the black, you can get that really thin and it'll still be really opaque. So it's good to use that to kind of cut in the details more than the white, which is why I kind of put the white in first. So now, again, just start dragging those fine feathers on his head back. And then that helps to blend that out and add the details on the white. Again, you can see why having the white sprayed in there first is really important. Now there is another step too with the airbrush after, but I want to get the details in first before I get there. You can also see why kind of keeping it real general when you're spraying in the bigger areas are really what you want to do, because it gives you, just like I said, it gives you the roadmap. So now I can go and add all the extra little fringe feathers, and I didn't have to cut all those out, try to get them all in. I extended my tabletop by adding a section and some brackets. Yeah, Scott, that's what I think I'm going to do. I can't remember which one I bought, the 1,000 centimeter or the 1,200, but mine's 4 feet across. So I think what I'm going to do is the table that I'm ultimately going to have for the setup is going to be so it's going to probably be 6 foot, and then I'm going to get the same Visionaire workstation that you have right now. Well, I'll back it out a little bit so you can see, but sort of. So right now I have the single point, the mounted version of this. It just goes down into one pole and holds it in a bracket, which is great. But when I'm doing the live feeds, especially the close-up stuff, this thing has some wiggle to it. So because it's mounted on one single point. So when you're really, really close, you'll notice it on like the Razor Blade Open Studios. When I touch this thing, it bounces around. So I really need it to be like rock solid. And I think if I mount it to the table, like with the 2 rails on the bottom, that it's going to be rock solid. So I think that's the motivation for me to kind of change the setup a little bit. I'll obviously still use this, single point one, because all the other jigs fit into this. So I'll still use that for that, but I think for the specific live stream and video setup, I think I need something a little bit more sturdy. Oh, yeah, awesome, Scott. So that's good. Plus, I have a couple extras of the rails, which is great. So I'll be able to add on, and I just got to draw up a plan for where it's going to go here in the studio, and because again, I gotta deal with some soundproofing things that will allow for better audio and also insulate me from the rest of the house a little bit. So the other members of the household are right above me, so I want to kind of give them a break from my constant stuff. All right, so again, anywhere there's really dark, just going to fill that in. In a raven, his lower beak is a little bit longer than his upper beak, which is kind of interesting. I didn't come up with a bunch of interesting raven facts like I do for Monday nights, but I'll leave that to you. All right, and that's good. I've got all the edges done. I've got the light part in, the dark parts. Got a lot of nice tight details, but there is that one thing that's missing, and that's the airbrush to tie it all together. So I've got super black in here. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to switch back to the thinner black now, the 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer. And for this, I can now tie all those little paint strokes together. I've read that they have an intellect of a 4-year-old human. Yeah, Tim, no doubt. They are super smart, and their memory is like elephant memory too. They're incredible animals. Again, whenever anyone wants to claim that humans are not animals, that we do so many things better than everything else, just go look at how much better, and I'm talking about brain power. Just go look at how much better chimpanzee short-term memory is compared to humans. It's like vastly better. We are just animals like everything else. We just build better tools is what it boils down to. Oh, thanks, Scott. Yeah, that'd be awesome. So, Tim, I don't know if you can. I think they're covered by the Migratory Bird Act. I know people have had them, especially rehabbers, but yeah, I don't know if it's a bird you can actually own it for your very own. And yes, well, this will make more sense on Monday, but I actually went and looked up how long it would take to get your falconer's license. Apparently the schooling is crazy. It's like 7 years, including apprenticeships. So unfortunately, I'm not going to get my sparrowhawk anytime soon. The double rail that I have is solid. Okay, that's good. That's what I need to know. Crows as pets? Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, see, I'm always learning on that. Marge's family, when she was younger, they rehabbed animals all the time. So they have great stories about, they had a blue jay that was, around the house all the time, that actually became kind of a pet. They had a fox, all these different animals. And, I don't want to... They all knew what they were doing. I mean, you have to know, you can't just, I love the people that, find a baby raccoon and think they're going to raise it as their own pet until they realize the raccoon can, get into everything in their house because they're smart and dexterous and all that fun stuff. Same thing with a squirrel. You think it's a great idea until, you realize why they're not domesticated. But yeah, especially birds. When we found that chipping sparrow out on the front, we have a front walkway, and the baby chipping sparrow ended up on the front walkway, just kind of abandoned. We brought it in, and I'm like, I want this bird, but you can't. It's semi-migratory or migratory, and there's laws against that. And it's also a wild animal. It's not a parakeet. And that's hard for me because, you see them and they're cute and you're like, yeah, that'd be great to have that as a pet, until you realize that it wouldn't be great to have that as a pet. It's like Marge shot down my Komodo dragon idea. It's like, come on. Can't own ravens. It's a no-no. See, there you go. I kind of figured they were protected under the It's amazing what is protected under the Migratory Bird Act, including like my favorite, like not that I would want a turkey vulture because they're gigantic and they smell and they puke everywhere and all that stuff. But you can't, like if you find a feather from a turkey vulture, which is long and black and thinner than an eagle, but still very much set up like, all right, so turkey vulture feathers look a lot like raven feathers, which you can actually see in this photo. So their primary feathers are really thin, and then they get wide at the end. Unlike an eagle feather, which is like pretty much the same shape all the way through almost. So when you find these things, like turkey vulture feathers are awesome. They look really cool, but you can't have them. You can't have feathers from migratory birds, which, again, that's someone ruining it for the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Some idiot, either poached some animal and started selling like cardinal feathers and then there's the law. It's like someone ruined it for everyone. Hate that. Raccoons have opposable thumbs, which is why they are so good at getting into everything. All right, so this is where I think I'm going to call this, but I want to kind of show you how it's coming along. And so this, while I'm treating this a lot like a 543, in the way that I'm developing it, there's going to be a lot more to it as far as the level of detail. I'll treat this like a normal painting, essentially, which means I'll spend as much time as I possibly can on it to give it, all the detail. But this was definitely coming together. And again, there'll be knobs here, and then there's a, kind of a switch here, like an on and off switch on both of these. But his head is going to be, open. There's a light right here, so it'll be good. It'll be good. You'll see enough of everything to kind of get that to work. But that is what I got. So I will switch you guys over. Steve, my grandmother had a pet raccoon. Then it went nuts and went into the heat and scratched them. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, they're wild animals. It's like, go. Oh, hi everyone. I guess I could have done that, but let me do this instead. So it's not so broken up. Yeah, it's like, any of those. It's like anything. Fox are really cute until you realize that, they have more energy than humanly possible to keep up with. And raccoons are the same way, and squirrels and all that fun stuff. There are domesticated animals for a reason and wild animals for another reason, which is why I take such joy in the stupidity of humans that, you see all the videos of people walking up to like bison, out west, thinking that they're cows and wanting to pet them, or the idiots that stick their hands in alligator mouths or things like that. Those people all get what they deserve, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they are wild animals for a reason. If we didn't have all this technology, we would be somewhere in the middle of the food chain. That's the way I'm looking at it. So a little bit of respect for Mother Nature and what's going on out there. But that's what I got. So thank you for hanging out with me for the Raven. And Michael, I know you're gone, but thank you so much for the super chat. That was amazing. You guys are the best. That's all I got till Monday. So come back Monday. I have 5 new paintings for Monday Night Live on Facebook, and they're good ones too. You guys are still killing it with the suggestions. And if you'd like to win one of those, come by on Monday and make a suggestion, and you can get in on winning one of those paintings. So that's what I got. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you all for hanging out. It was great. I had a lot of fun, and I will post pictures of this petal when it's all done. So you guys be good. And, you get to look at the petal before we leave. So thanks a lot. And I will go. Mr. Webb, thank you. Last minute, 11th hour. Thank you so much, man. All right. I will catch you guys later, and have a great weekend and be good to one another. And, I will catch you again.